Kathy Wood sold $10.6 million in Palantir stock right before November 9th's earnings for Palantir. Is she right, or has she lost her mind completely? I'm going to explain how this could be an opportunity of the quarter and things can get very crazy in the next week. Palantir is set up for a breakout, and boy do I have a price prediction for you after my analysis in this video. I want to explain why I believe the gradual uptrend can continue and what specifically is likely to happen, not what will actually happen. I don't know for sure because I'm just revealing my financial analysis. I don't have interest in pumping the stock or have ever pumped a stock before, so just know I have no clue what will actually happen. I'm not a financial advisor, however, I have more financial knowledge and experience than a majority of them. Predicting Palantir is challenging, so I'm just laying out the facts for you and my personal opinion. First of all, before we discuss Palantir's chart being set up for a breakout that could propel the stock past $30 per share, we need to discuss the outlook after the US Army selection. In early October, Palantir Technology announced that it was selected by the US Army for a contract worth $823 million that will see the company deliver the Army Intelligence Data Fabric and Analytics Foundation for the Capability Drop 2 or CD2 program. For a company like Palantir, which generates revenue of around $1.5 billion a year right now, an $800 million contract is huge. It's a massive portion of their total revenue, but it should be noted that this contract will not see Palantir capture all of that revenue in a short period of time. On top of that, not necessarily all of that revenue will go to Palantir Technologies, as other vendors, for example for hardware, might take some share of the contract as well. A more bearish analyst noted that the administration has requested around $100 million for the contract in fiscal year 2022, suggesting that it will take several years for Palantir to capture all of the revenue from that contract. I'm not worried about waiting as long as all of the revenue gets materialized. The contract award by the US Army for such a large single contract also indicates that officials see Palantir as capable of delivering on large-scale contracts, despite the fact that Palantir Technologies is, by revenue and employer count, not a very large company today. That's a big sign to me that Palantir will continue to surprise on the upside as well as beat earnings for this quarter. If you look at the 1 month on Palantir, it's up over 11%. Check out this chart of Palantir's past 6 months with two simple trend lines. Going strictly by Palantir's 6-month chart, it looks like shares of Palantir are setting up for a breakout. On the top resistance line, it was breached in June and hit twice in September without being breached. If you look at the bottom line of resistance, shares have not fallen through that resistance level, and once shares hit the line in October, they curled up, signaling what looks like another move to the upside. Regardless if they breach resistance or not, the chart is signaling Palantir's next high will exceed $30, which makes sense as the previous two highs were $27.38 and then $28.77 in Palantir's two last run-ups. The combination of markets moving higher and earnings beats on top and bottom line for Palantir could make shares surpass $30 by the end of the year, so long as earnings come in above expectations. Over the past 9 quarters, Palantir's quarterly revenue has increased by $214.3 million, or up 132%, as it scaled from $161.3 million in March of 2019 to $375 million in June 2021. If you look at the past 10 quarters, there has only been a flat quarter-over-quarter occurrence from Q4 2019 to Q1 2020. Palantir has grown its quarterly revenue on average by $23 million quarter over quarter over the past 9 quarters. Over the past 4 quarters, Palantir has increased its quarter over quarter revenue on average by $30.9 million. This is attributed to the additional contracts being signed on both the government and commercial sides. Palantir continues to be the vendor of choice for the United States government and is increasing its presence across corporate America. An even more interesting trend appears if we look at the data by quarters year over year instead of sequential growth quarter over quarter. Unlike the one flat period in the quarter over quarter analysis, Palantir has sequentially grown its revenue every quarter looking at it on a year over year basis. Palantir has been very busy gaining contract awards in 2021 and it hasn't slowed down in quarter 3 2021. That's why I expect good earnings that should point Palantir towards the $30 level. Since the beginning of Q3, Palantir Palantir has been awarded 20 new contracts from the United States government. I also took a look at Palantir's valuation to check if $30 per share is reasonable. Major software players such as Microsoft, Salesforce.com, and Adobe are growing by 15 to 25% right now and trade for 11 times to 19 times this year's sales today. Considering that Palantir does grow faster than these companies, for example, double Microsoft, but also has a double price to sales ratio, I see this as a very reasonable valuation. The top line revenue growth will more than make up for the high price to sales ratio in the future quarters and years. For the longer term, I'm looking out into 2030 as a long-term investor. Although I think we can see a pop short term, I find a lot of interest in projecting out estimates because that's part of the lessons learned in my finance degree I got from Drexel. Palantir will likely be in the range of 17 billion in revenue in 2030. I expect price to sales to drop to about 15 times, just like Microsoft is trading at today. This gets us a market capitalization of roughly $255 billion 9 years from today, or roughly 5x as much as today's market capitalization of 50 billion. This does, however, not mean that Palantir will see its shares climb by 430%, as we will also have to consider the company's share count, which has been rising and which will likely continue to rise. It is hard to forecast where exactly the share count will stand 9 years from now, as we don't know the trajectory of future share-based compensation, and since Palantir might start to repurchase shares in the future. If we assume that the share count rises by 100 million a year, which seems to be about what they increased by last year, that would give an estimated outstanding share count of 2.9 billion in 2030. Taking market cap divided by share count, so we get $90 per share. So although this wouldn't be as attractive as holding Tesla over 9 years, Palantir can beat these estimates or remain as a higher valuation stock, which would get it to $100 per share sooner. It looks more reasonable for growth investors trying to retire quick or get rich quick that playing Palantir in the short term could be a quick buck. However, to really double your money, a riskier, less popular stock would have to be selected. I'll keep it 100% honest. I believe that Palantir is a high growth company that could deliver double-digit total returns in the long run and be a $30 stock in the short term. Check out the link in the description for more videos that I think are very helpful in relation to Palantir, as well as a link cord to the private Discord where I do option trading. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.